Good evening, everyone. It's February 15th, and this week on the Team of Rivals podcast, we are celebrating spring training officially kicking off with pitchers and catchers reporting to their respective camps. Elliott, out on a date night. He won't be joining us. Cardinals make some major news this week, picking up some bud right before spring training. Can't wait to get into that and much, much more as baseball is finally back. Team of Rivals podcast starts now.
Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. There's a drive. Way back. It might be. It could be. Playing a high drive into left. Back towards the creek. He's at the track. He has it. And the world champion for 2011. A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it toward Rizzo. It's in time, and the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
This is the Team of Rivals podcast. No insiders, no anonymous sources, just passionate analysis from the bleacher seats. Here are your hosts, Ron Nuttall and Peter Geddes.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Hey, buddy. Spring training's here. There's people playing baseball. They're playing catch.
Yay.
Yay. Have you heard a lot of the interviews? I mean, just interviews.
I've only heard one interview over and over and over again.
Yeah. You've heard one interview, and so have I, and it's been the same one with like 700 different players so far. Guys, we're happy that baseball's back. All of us are. And we're excited, somewhat, I guess, about some of the moves that both of our teams have made. But let's face it, beginning of spring training, and is this technically? I guess it is, but the players technically haven't reported yet. But this is really just a milestone, right? It's like a is it the white flag in a race?
Yeah, I think so. Last lap, right? Last warm up lap. I think you're right.
Yeah, that last lap is longest though. My goodness. This was torturous last year. We had to make a bunch of stuff up to do, and I'm afraid we might have to do the same thing this year. But buddy, how you been doing this week? This has been we've had. I gotta say this before we get going. Is we've had a lot of followers join us on Facebook, and I am so grateful for that. We've hit a mark that we were looking at just a month ago. We've really doubled or nearly doubled what our following count was on Facebook. Just over 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So it's been amazing. The downloads have really shot up.
Thank for that, Chris. Appreciate it, buddy.
Chris. Can't thank you enough, man. Cardinals Nation 24/7. Those guys are the best. Pete.
Yes, sir.
Before you tell me how your week has been, because I'm pretty sure I know, where can everybody find us? Just remind them.
Well, they can find the missing member of the Team of Rivals
on date night.
TOR_Elliott, or on date night somewhere in the Milwaukee suburbs, I imagine. But they can find him on Twitter at TOR_Elliott, ELLIOTT. But us, they can find us at teamofrivalspodcast.com. And we'll get to everything else later, but that's the best place to start if you're looking for us. Video, podcasts, social media. It's your one-stop shop. Kind of your 7-Eleven for the show.
You know what? That is great. We're the QT, the Quick Trip gas station stop for all of your audio and video.
Can we be the Circle K? Strange things are afoot at the Circle K. No,
I'm game. I'm game. No.
Are you missing that reference? You didn't get that one?
Is it a Jay and Silent Bob thing or what?
No, it's not.
Okay, what is it? Come
on. It's Jay and Silent Bob. It's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Bill.
Yeah, I would not have called that.
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
By far, Keanu Reeves. It's
best performance.
Best performance tied with Parenthood. Is that the other one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wait. Now, by best, you mean closest to his original personality, the least amount of acting? Because I mean, he was pretty good. It was pretty good in The Matrix and in John Wick.
Hey, speaking of actors, I know we're getting off topic, folks. We will get on the
Because there is no topic.
This is entertainment. There are no topics except people have shown up. Right. People have shown up. They talk to reporters. They say how they all want to be MVP. Look, I've lost a bunch of weight because I went on the Subway diet.
I'm in the best shape of my life.
I really think he's going to have a great year. Let's just keep going. Let's keep going. We're having a good flow. What are some of the other cliches that are thrown out?
I'm really coming into this year with something to prove.
I'm going to stay within myself. I'm not going to try to do too much.
I really think so-and-so is going to have a monster year.
You know, this clubhouse is great. It's nothing filled with just perfect, angelic gentlemen who so much better than the organization I was with before. Hint, hint. So I'm just looking to have a great year and probably win a lot of awards. And I just killed it, dude. I just killed it. I just killed it for us. I did. It's on me. It's my fault, Pete. I was going somewhere. And I saw a deer on the side of the road. And I'm like, ooh, look, deer. And I just forgot where I was driving.
Well, I can help you out. I'm just trying to take it one game at a time. You know, come on, let's go. Both are on cliches. Whip them out. Right. Come on, Nuke.
Well, you know, my arm's feeling real good. It's feeling really strong over the off season. Done a lot of workouts, but you know, I think I'm going to find it here real quick. Go, come on. That's not a cliche, is it?
No,
that sounds like a rookie in front of the microphone for the first time. Can't figure out what to say, and that's kind of what I feel like right now. And I shouldn't feel that way, but I am, man. That was an impromptu thing. You know what? If we would have talked about that before the show, I bet that would have been a little bit better.
Actually, I think it might have been worse.
It would have been, because I would have been thinking about it more. Yes, but I think our point is, Pete, is that we hear. And I hear it every morning when I drive to work, or, hey, we're going to talk to so-and-so from, you know, Seattle Mariners, or this guy or this coach. And like, you feel like you're just hearing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And it is a little dull as far as what the news gives you. It doesn't kill the excitement, though, that we're getting closer. Don't get me wrong. So I know we sound negative tonight. We're not trying to be. It's just in our nature. Anyway.
Absolutely.
Biggest news of this week, as far as a Cardinal fan would be concerned, is the Cardinals scored some bud this week.
Yeah. Was it a dime bag, or?
I hope it's at least a dime bag, because now they brought him in. It's a low risk move.
It is.
It's $3 million. It's loaded with some incentives if he ends up starting. There's an amount of innings, there's, you know, finishes, etc. I mean, there's all that stuff that goes into that. But I'm not sure what the cap was. I want to say $5 million. It could get up to or 4.5. I could be wrong, man. I should know that. But the thing I remember about Bud Norris is he used to kill the Cardinals, especially early in his career. And I think through his first 4 starts, I think it was somewhere around 28 innings, he only gave up 1 earned run in that entire time. So he killed him. Now they leveled out a little bit more as they continued on, but early on he was a Cardinal killer as a pitcher, and dubbed Chuck Norris, I think, by Albert Pujols, because they were teammates last year. That's what he called him. But I can't even say this is really an interesting signing. This is like buying supplemental life insurance. Like you're glad you have it in case something happens, but you're not that excited about, you know, shelling out another $100 every month. You know what I mean?
Tell me something.
Yep.
Are you frustrated by this signing just because of this signing, or are you frustrated by it in context of Yu Darvish?
No, this 100% honest with you. This is completely, and if the Darvish thing would have never happened, this is still one of those things where you know, especially when you hear John Mozeliak talk about, well, we're confident and we're satisfied with what we've done in the off season. So that means this, Pete, if you think backwards through this a minute.
Right.
So that means at the beginning of the offseason, to address bullpen, their biggest need, that I could have Dominic Leone, Luke Gregerson, and Bud Norris in the bullpen, and that's what I call a victory in the offseason.
Well, no, I'm actually gonna take it a step further and really frustrate you. About what? Halfway through the offseason, he said, we're happy with where we're at. And then he went out and signed Bud Norris.
Yeah. And all it meant was they had to DFA another guy on the 40-man roster who probably didn't deserve to be, and that his last name is Wick. I want to say John Wick, but I know that's a movie.
That'd be awesome if it was.
Yeah. But he's going to hopefully he clears through waivers and they can get him back into camp, but that's a risk now. So yeah, there you have it. It was surprising. But again, it's not the most exciting news, but it's just a little surprising that this happens so late and with a guy like that. You hope it works out. We'd all love to be, I'd love to be incorrect about my assumptions here. This is not anything to make a Cardinal fan jump out of their seat in joy, maybe jump out of their seat and say, WTF. But yeah, he's confident and satisfied. And right now I could say, I think with a certainty that he's probably in the minority. The rhetoric you hear, we understand why they say what they have to say, but they too have to understand that, you kind of put out a vibe, a narrative at the beginning of the offseason that you're really going to address the flaws of this team. And I think that most of us look at that bullpen and say, well, I don't think we're there. We don't feel we're there. I think majority of fans don't feel we're there. And Pete, you know me as well as anybody. I'm pretty level-headed about these kinds of things. I don't get too emotional one way or the other because I don't like.
It's shocking.
But yeah, this didn't make me any more disappointed. Don't get me wrong, but it's just kind of I wouldn't even call it a head scratcher. It's just okay. I get why they've done it. It's just every time they say they're done. Well, I guess they've never really said they're done. They'll always keep options open. They'll always have ears open, listening to agents or offers from other teams. So, okay, it's an insurance policy. I don't know if it's a very good one, but it is one. So, this bud's for you, buddy.
Bubs, on the other hand.
Is that the episode title, by the way?
I was thinking the Cardinals scored some Bud. I enjoyed that one a lot more.
Okay.
And it's far less likely that we could get sued for it.
I don't want that to happen. Elliott, I hope you're having a smashing time in Milwaukee.
Hey.
Are you at the safe house? If you're watching while you're on your date, if you happen to have your phone in your lap watching us.
I told him to turn off his phone. I don't know why he was texting us.
Texting us like to the last
show
minute.
was starting. He's on a date and he's texting us. So disappointed, Elliott. I'm sure your wife is too.
Oh, that would not go over. She's a great woman, but I'm sure she wouldn't appreciate him listening to his boys on date night. All right, Pete. Any big news out of Cubs camp? Because I haven't been hearing a whole lot, but I have heard this. We're putting art back into the game.
We are.
Explain that. Besides art, I was trying to be funny, and it wasn't.
Oh, I thought that was brilliant. In fact, if you had not just cut it off there, I was going to go down that path.
Sorry. Hey, wait a minute.
Right.
Wait. Stop for a second. Stop. Your microphone is hanging upside down. What contraption did you get?
You just noticed.
I did just notice that. It blends in with your background.
We've been on for 30 minutes, and you just noticed. Yeah, no, I got a mic stand so that I can get the computer a little closer.
Gotcha. All right. Hey, folks, I'm glad you know that now. Sorry to interrupt. Sometimes I forget we're actually recording, and I just start asking Pete questions. It's like we're having a conversation.
Sometimes, yeah, God forbid that we have a conversation here.
Yeah, sorry about that.
This isn't a professional radio show. I don't think anybody expects anything other than just that. That's why we're allowed to.
You know what? And they get what they pay for.
That's right. That's why we can go off on Star Wars tangents.
Ooh. No, we won't do that right now.
Boy and I are through season 1, episode 17 now of Clone Wars. He's really into it.
Good. That's good stuff, man. All right. What were you saying? Okay.
Putting art back in the game, and it kind of goes back to, at least from what I've been able to read, it goes back to everything that Joe has talked about over the years. He's definitely an analytics guy, but the one thing that he doesn't want to do is he doesn't want, and he touched on this a little bit last year when he had, don't forget the heartbeat was one of his phrases. He doesn't want the guys to get so caught up in the numbers and so caught up in the analysis and forget the fact that they're playing a game, that they should be having fun. And I think that that's where he's going with this. Apparently he's commissioned six works, have already unveiled 2 of them. yesterday. Dolly in a catcher's mask and the statue of David in a jockstrap on the mound at Wrigley. But reportedly, there's another one that's either with Andy Warhol or is Warhol influenced. The Mona Lisa. I'm forgetting what the other two were, but yeah, he's just, and they've got all kinds of little messages that kind of tie the analytics back in. But it's just his way to lighten things up and to remind the guys that it is just a game, and that he doesn't want them to think all about the numbers and to get obsessed with the fact that Jason Hayward's only hitting 240 at the All-Star break, I assume.
What is the over-under on that?
I think the over-under is 250.
Okay, well, anybody listening, okay, so over-under 250. Jason Hayward. Anybody listening now, anybody that's going to be watching this later or listening to the audio version that I get out tonight, we'll put this poll out on Twitter. Jason Hayward, over-under 250 batting average at the All-Star break.
I'm on it.
All right, Pete's on it right now. I like that. I like that. So, Pete, we still have some free agents that are out there.
We still have a lot of free agents, although it seems that the dam has started to break. It certainly hasn't been the big name free agents. All the guys who everyone has been obsessing over, Arrieta and Cobb and Lynn and Moustakas and Hosmer, Martinez, they're all still on the market. But the lesser free agents are getting filled, which seems to indicate that the Darvish move very well may have been the dam that broke. And surprising, obviously, Scott Boras had something to say about it. And he did say that his phone has been ringing more in the last couple of days than it has been over the off season. So he said that February this year is how December normally is. So we may finally be getting there.
Start having some closure. You got to think, right? If you're still JD Martinez or you're Jake Arrieta, you're seeing guys like Bud Norris start to sign, which means this, right? It means that, okay, teams that aren't sure about this or maybe waiting for a last minute bargain on him, well, they're already starting to fill voids. So you got to think even the lesser signings have to be somewhat of a little bit more applied pressure, right? I would think. So
yeah, unless you're going to be stubborn, and at this point, what is the point of being stubborn like that? Just what are you going to prove? Just sign a contract and get in and prove it through your play. It's the same thing as I don't know if you read about this, but the Players Association's decision. So they set up this players only camp for guys who haven't been signed. And what I read, I think there are only like 20 guys there right now. But they won't let the media in to cover them. And they turned away a scout from from one of the teams and told him that if he was there to scout a particular player, that they could set up a private workout for him, but that they didn't want these hordes of people just sitting there and observing these guys. It's like, do you want them to get signed or not?
Well, Pete, and you know what?
If you don't want eyes on these guys, like I'm sure that some of these guys are guys who are coming back from rehab.
Yeah.
You need to see with your own eyes that a guy is healthy. I mean, that's part of the reason why Tim Lincecum just spent, his entire the last couple of years getting back in shape. And then today threw in front of 20 guys. It wasn't because he was trying to get a contract by telling them, oh no, I'm healthy, just sign me. He wanted them to see that he was healthy.
Yeah. Well, here's the bummer about media not being let into that camp is that would be without a doubt the most interesting camp.
Oh yeah.
This spring so far. There's where the sound bites and stories come in. That would be the most interesting thing in baseball this spring, would be to allow reporters and media into that camp and talk to those guys. And for love of God, please get Scott Boras in front of the camera again. We cannot get enough here on Team of Rivals podcast. You guys may despise him. None of us like the guy that much. But let me tell you this. If you were a free agent in whatever your line of work is, and there were potential suitors out there, who would you want representing you?
Oh, nobody else.
Maybe Jay-Z.
Nah.
Just for the star power.
Well, I tell you, isn't it kind of a with a few? Isn't it kind of a designator? You're a star if Scott Boras is your rep. He's not. You don't hear Scott Boras talking about the utility infielder who he's trying to get a contract. Right? He's talking about stars. Right. He's
sure
that's who he handles. Although you have to say for an offseason, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but clearly the agent with the best offseason this year is Yu Darvish's agent, because he also represented Shohei Ohtani. So he can take this offseason to the bank. I can't imagine he's complaining.
You pronounce that name just like the media does. I don't know how that guy's done in spring training so far, but I know he's already there because I've seen clips of him. Tall guy.
Tall, yeah.
So getting back just to this whole this Boras camp, I have to go back and say it just one more time, is that I'm disappointed, because man, that would be an interesting thing to show, because that has never, I mean, as far as I know in my memory, something like that has never happened on such a scale.
Yep.
I'm sure there have been guys that have been unsigned that have worked out in some facilities somewhere, but never to this extent. So
no, I think I read that
you want some press, guys. I mean, geez,
they did have a camp in, what was it, 94. And I guess the stories that came out were really bad, that it was kind of depressing. And I think that that's probably what the players union is trying to avoid. But this is very different from 94, right? That was in the middle of, a strike. This is spring training, and these are guys who are unsigned, and they're trying to get signed. Well, if you're trying to get signed, the last thing that you should be doing is turning away press, turning away scouts from organizations. You need people seeing you play.
Yeah. And the other thing, Pete, think about this. I want to compare the two just quickly, because I don't know what to think here. You think in 94, I just remember how I felt in 94 when that strike happened. And then, and then 95 started, or didn't start, started late. And we faced the, I guess, possibility that replacement players were actually going to be there. I was so pissed at the players then. Now, I was obviously younger. I didn't understand all the nuances and things like I do now. I hadn't been around I hadn't been following the game as many years, obviously, as I have now. So my anger was with the players. And this time around, though, I'm not sure who majority of the fan base would be angry with. Would it be they're angry with the players do they perceive them as being greedy? Is it their agents that are showing more greed? Is it the owners that are just trying to follow this pattern of, well, if we, make a 4 or 5 year plan, we know we're not going to be competitive for 2 or 3. I mean, I'm just not sure who the majority of people are frustrated with these days. Yeah, I don't know if you got a sense for it or not, but I mean, the young people, I might think, if they're not listening to radio and reading the things that we're reading, might be a little frustrated with the players.
Yeah, I think so too. And what amazes me, and probably the reason why they're not, is because of their relationships with the media. But the people who aren't getting much blame are the agents. And I can understand why the media wouldn't break bad on them, because a lot of times they're their sources. And so the media is going to take it easy on them. But the agents have to take some responsibility for this. And I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen one story that from what I would consider the major baseball media that has said that the agents may have been giving their clients poor advice. I mean, why Scott Boras thought that Jake Arrieta was going to get a $200 million contract is beyond me.
Well, and throw JD Martinez into that too. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. Look at JD Martinez's history. Nice player last year, but that guy didn't. I mean, think of the other $200 million plus contracts, or hell, even $180 million plus contracts, and you see much different history behind those players than you do of a guy like Martinez. So to think that they're going to get that now I can't help but to think they're looking ahead to next year too, thinking, well, this guy's going to get 40 million. This guy, if he was a free agent, would get 35 million. And that's must be, I don't know if they're trying to triangulate and attach a value to these guys, but you'd have to think, I mean, you're kind of your instinct hearing all this is like, yeah, I think they're probably getting some bad advice. And these guys are going to come up at the end of the off season and they're going to have to settle for something much less. You get that feeling. But then again, we had the Darvish signing and it wasn't, I think it was a good deal. I mean, if you look at it, look at the numbers behind the deal and you're like, well, that's not too bad. Did we perceive him getting more? Did you perceive Darvish getting more?
At the beginning of the offseason? Yeah. And Theo and Jed in their opening press conference yesterday, when they introduced Darvish, said that he was their number one target, but they didn't think that it was realistic. Like he was the guy that they wanted going into the offseason, but they didn't think they would be able to get him because signing him would do too much damage to their payroll to where they wouldn't be able to make any moves mid-season.
Yeah.
No, not even next year, mid-season. But now the estimates are that they probably have somewhere around 12 or $13 million under the cap, which probably gives them about $10 million or so to play with. Well, that's significant if you're making a trade at the deadline and you need to take on some salary.
Right. So, just speaking to these free agents, then obviously the biggest pitcher out there right now is Arrieta, and he has to move. The position player would have to be, you'd have to say it's JD Martinez without a doubt, right? Yeah, those guys are still, I don't know if there's any line of sight to either of them moving in the next week or so.
I don't think so, because it sounds like Boston has no intention of bidding against themselves, kind of like the Cubs did with Darvish, right? And Jed and Theo laid that out during their press conference. It got to the point they knew that they were in the driver's seat on this, and they finally went to you and his agent the other day and said, look, we want you to be in camp when camp starts. You were traded to the Dodgers. You know what it's like trying to acclimate to a new situation mid-season. We don't want you to even have to acclimate 2 days into camp. We want you there. What do we need to do to get it done? And at that point, they weren't bidding against themselves. What they were doing was they were closing the deal. There's no reason for Boston to bid against themselves right now. It sounds like Arizona is trying to figure out a way to possibly bring JD Martinez back. But Boston has the best offer on the table. And it's up to JD Martinez to decide whether or not he's serious about taking a great contract or taking a lesser contract so that he can play the outfield, because he has this delusion that he's a great outfielder.
Right. Well, here's the other thing, Pete. Think about this too. The other thing that's not giving Boston a massive sense of urgency, not to throw aside the fact that this offseason has been peculiar, to say the least, is that they're not under a pressure from another American League East foe to bring him in at all. No. The Yankees have already made their move. That's already done.
Right.
So their pressure might have been early on to answer that, to react. But if they lose out on JD Martinez, okay, the only other suitor right now seems to be Arizona, unless his price falls. If his price falls, then you would assume Boston has him. But if they don't, that's fine. He's going to end up somewhere else, and it probably isn't going to be on the East Coast. AL East. So that part of the equation really isn't adding any pressure to them at all.
Nope.
To up the offer or to, increase the urgency to get him locked up. So, yeah, that is without a doubt has to be frustrating for the player. But if he's willing to sit out till mid-season, that's fine. If he's willing to sit out to mid-season, there's no way he's touching the money that he thought he was going to get. Not sitting out a half a year.
No.
What is that going to prove? What is that going to prove?
I don't know. It doesn't prove anything.
I can hold my breath until I'm blue, like my kids do.
And it's not going to do him any good. If anything, I would think that it probably reduces his value on the market, because he's going to be like Alex Reyes, right? He's not going to be coming in at the beginning of the season having enjoyed the benefits of full-time spring training. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to add him to your roster right away. You're probably going to figure out some way to give him a rehab assignment so that he can get up to speed, because the last thing that you want to do is take up a roster spot, especially if you're in the midst of a pennant race. I mean, that's why you're signing him, right?
Yeah.
Is to add a little more thump to your lineup. Are you really going to add in a guy who hasn't seen true live pitching in what, 9 months? That
You're not going to be as
makes no
inclined
sense.
to. I mean, unless you absolutely have no offense, but your pitching and defense is held up, but your offense is just limped through the year. Yeah, you might be willing to bring them in, but they're going to have to go on a rehab side. They're going to have to put into.
Or if you have a lead in your division or in your playoff race, and you feel like there's enough of a cushion where you can put him in and allow him to get acclimated, because you think that you can afford to take a couple of weeks to ramp him up. It's not a priority when now you're getting him looking towards the future.
Yeah, there could be.
I guess that's the move.
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
I wonder if the way that the Darvish deal was structured might influence some of these top end free agents. It's very much front loaded as far as the money. He's getting paid $25 million this year, and I think the pay I believe it's $22 million next year, and then he's got the opt out. So if he outperforms the contract, he can go back on the market if he wants to. And I wonder if that's not something that some of these other guys will consider doing, is taking a long-term deal that brings down the AAV for the team that they sign with the thinking being that, okay, that's fine, but you're going to front load it and I want an opt out so that in 2 years, if I'm performing well and I think that I can go back out on the market and increase my pay, I can't. I mean, it's a thought.
Program break here for a second. Hey, you guys watching right now, give us a thumbs up right now. I want to know you're alive. I'm testing you to see if you're paying attention. Give us a thumbs up. Do it. Push it. Push it. It's a test.
Nothing.
I want to see how loyal they're. I want to see how loyal those ears are.
Hey, Braden, we know you're watching. Did you hear the good news?
He's got to be one of them.
Braden, now please don't do anything.
He's gonna call. He's gonna call right in the middle of this. I know it.
Well, that's not a bad thing. It's not like we have a whole.
You like it. You like it because you want to hear the tirade.
I do. Hey, Braden, did you hear the good news? Apparently, the Sun Wong O signing with the Rangers is falling apart. There's still a chance he could come back to St. Louis. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Gonna call in. I have no doubt.
That'd be awesome.
Okay. Hit that thumbs up button, guys. Come on. It's right there. All right. So that's enough of the free agency talk. Gosh, we've weeks and weeks in a row that we're talking about the slow market. So we're kind of done with that. There are really no big stories coming out of Cardinal camp. I'd say the one thing that's not surprising to hear is Adam Wainwright has right now, he's not talking retirement. He's not talking next year. He's just talking the right now, but it doesn't sound like he has the intention to retire after this year. So not surprising to me, knowing the guy. I mean, not knowing him personally, but being a fan of and hearing him talk over the years, doesn't surprise me that he wants to get back into high gear. You know, if he feels okay, that's fine. But there's a lot he has to show. I think everybody, not just this spring, but even kicking off the year. I mean, I think it's hard to believe I can't even imagine him not getting a spot in the starting rotation. If nothing else, his legacy will secure him a spot in the rotation. I mean, unless he completely implodes or gets another injury where he can't, that he will be in the starting rotation. But he wants to get back into top form. He wants to dominate again. He wants to compete. You know, he wants to get angry. So he does have a lot to prove. And now we touched on this last episode, but I think he's just reinforced that with the way he's talked about this, at least early on in this spring. So,
you know, he lost weight in the offseason.
Which is just, you know, always an interesting story.
Hey, look, last year he came in at 249. This year he came in at 225. And the last time he came in there was probably 2010. So, I mean,
it's fascinating.
He may be in the best shape of his entire life.
Does he want to be MVP?
I think he does.
I think that would be proof. Anybody who says they want to be MVP in the offseason, it's just a story worth, I think, talking about on Twitter like 5,000 times.
I think so.
Yeah.
Why didn't anybody follow him around and get his off-season workout?
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
Those could have been dueling stories, right? Waino and Schwarbs.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, he's transformed himself. He wants to be great.
He's just taking it one day. Just one day at a time.
An athlete wants to be better. That is news worth twittering.
Hey, look, he's just taking it one day at a time, okay?
Right. All right, buddy. Listen, I don't. I was going to say something as a joke. I'm not going to now.
Say it.
That'd be mean to me. No.
Say it.
No, we have not got a thumbs up yet from these viewers. I'm starting to get pissed.
I saw it. We've got 3 thumbs up. Yeah.
Okay. How come
I saw it.
I've got it up. I've got it up in the background on the phone here, and I don't see thumbs, guys. Hit them again. Refresh your browser, whatever it takes. All right, man. I have nothing else literally out of Cardinals camp. Things have really not got going yet. We just have pitchers and catchers that are just kind of tossing the ball around, running some drills. We've got comments from Mike Maddox. They sound great. But the comments from every pitching coach around baseball sounds great. Every manager that sounds great. So this is if nothing happens with the remaining free agents next week, man, we're gonna have to come up with a game show next week. Something.
That might not be a bad idea.
Maybe we have to take some calls because I do have the ability to have live callers in now. By the way,
I know. I'm kind of disappointed that Braden hasn't called in to weigh in on Sung Wong Oh.
He might be asleep. And if he hasn't read it yet, I am not going to wake him up to tell him that tonight. I am surprised too that he hasn't called in because I figured he would be one of the people watching right now, that's fine. All right, buddy. Unless you've got another hot topic you want to cover, if there's something you're just itching to talk about.
Look, the way I see it is we just got to take these episodes one day at a time. All right. Personally, I'm just happy to be here. And that I hope I can help the club. And I just want to give it my best shot, and the good Lord willing, things will work out.
Yeah, I just, I've taken care of my voice and throat all off season, a lot of tea and honey. Just trying to stay within myself, not trying to do too much. Just trying to soak it all in and enjoy the new atmosphere.
I got to tell you, Ron, you look like you're in the best shape of your life.
I feel like I am. Everything feels good. Everything's motion, not straining too hard. It's again, just trying to stay within myself.
So are you thinking about retirement?
Hell no. I'm going to be king of the mountain again. King of the mountain again.
So what do you think?
I want to be a good baseball player.
You think you think you have a chance for MVP, or you think that your teammate Elliott there has the inside track on MVP?
Elliott's having the best night of us both.
Yes.
There's 2 reasons. Let's just be honest here. There's 2 reasons Elliott wasn't going to join us tonight. One, he's out on a date, which I don't blame him. He's had a better night than we are. There might be right. I mean, between you guys having to split up Cubs headlines coming out of camp, I mean, how do you guys divvy that up? That is a formula there. I'm not sure how you guys are going to do that going forward, but at least I don't have that problem. I did get some feedback though that we need another Cardinal fan on here to balance things out.
Really? I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I like the balance right now. I like
you like to talk.
I like to talk, but now honestly, if I could get Chris on here every week, I definitely would. But because I love having Chris on here for many reasons. One, he knows his stuff as a baseball fan, but I love some of the short answers that we're given. Like I tend to overtalk. Like I've got a point, but I'll kind of smother that point and too many words and expressions, and you kind of maybe lose the message on me.
You mean kind of like you're doing right now?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas you asked me if I was scared of the Brewers, and I gave a long answer, and Chris just no. Which that expression in one word said a whole lot. So yeah, if I could get maybe take a cue from that.
As evidenced by their reaction to the Yu Darvish trade, they signed what's his name, Wade Miley. So the Brewers taking the competition seriously as well. That rotation is not intimidating.
No, it's not. Especially and granted, especially when you got a lineup like Chicago does, you're not too worried about going into Milwaukee. The only thing you're worried about is a guy having a decent day and their lineup catching fire, because their lineup's not going to be bad. Their defense is going to be good too. So maybe their defense could help. that poor pitching, or we perceive it to be average to below average pitching. The defense might help, but yeah, not intimidating names there, right?
Speaking of guys getting a good day, did you see the picture of oh man, what's his name? He came over from Korea last year. Come on, Brewers. What's his name? He came out like a.
I don't know.
I can't believe because I don't care about the Brewers. Anyway, there was a picture of him showing up at spring training in his monster truck, and it's hard to tell which one is juiced more. I'll put it up on Twitter.
Woo! All right.
Him or his truck.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we're done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Our viewers are done.
This is definitely an OG podcast, not only because it's just you and I, but also there's all the hallmarks of professionalism that we exhibited early on in season 1.
You know what, though? To be perfectly candid with you about those early episodes, those are almost impossible for me to listen to. I'm about to archive them all.
I'm about to go back and listen to them. I've got a convention coming up, and I've got
discerning babble. I mean, on my part mostly, Pete. I'm talking about myself. It's just
so basically nothing has changed.
I should go back and re-record my voice over all of that stuff. See if it improves at all.
Are they going to be special edition podcast?
Yeah, just be like George Lucas going back and redoing the original Star Wars movie.
That's not what I meant to say. What I meant to say
that's where I was going with it.
Right. That's right. See, the technology wasn't there yet for me to predict that the Cardinals would win 87 games. I nailed it. I nailed it exactly.
87. Yeah, no, so did I. 90. They're goddamn it. They're a 90 win team. I was pretty sure about that too. Not as sure.
No, but see, that was the limitations of the technology. Right.
Yes.
That had the technology been as up to date as it is now, that would have come out. See, you actually said 87. It's just that it got garbled.
I think I agreed
in the recording.
That's right. It sounded like 90 when it came out.
Yeah, it sounded like 90, but you actually said 87. So.
I could go back and re-record that, and all you hear is, the Cardinals are 83 win team.
Win team.
Could do that. I don't have the time or interest to go back.
Nope.
And do it.
All right, so
go.
We're just babbling at this point. So you can catch us on the socials at Team of Rivals Pod on Twitter, at Team of Rivals Podcast on Instagram, and you can find us on Facebook at Team of Rivals Podcast. You can also track us down on teamofrivalspodcast.com. Send us an email at the show at teamofrivalspodcast.com, or you can send Elliott a direct message on Twitter at TOR_Elliott, ELLIOTT, as I said, on Twitter. You can also follow us, subscribe, like, rate, and review YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, or Spotify. Please do share it with your friends. like, rate, review, especially those of you on Cardinals Nation 24/7. We appreciate you guys following us, weighing in on what you like. And, Ron can use the support.
Definitely use the support. And I appreciate the support. So, Pete, have a great week. Have a great weekend.
You too.
And Elliott, I hope you had a good night.
Yeah, you did.
Son of a bitch. And we will see everybody again next week. All right. Bye, everyone.